entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
Yes, and that is why we are here. Hello, friends.
And fans and marks and all sorts of people.
We're going to talk a little bit about this thing called Rotten Tomatoes, which has been a lot of conversations going on lately about it.
The giant elephant in the room.
Pink, unicornish elephant.
Yes, exactly.
The one thing I want to put out first is, one, we don't believe in this petition to get it removed. Nothing should be removed just because someone has a differing opinion.
Right.
We are going to talk about how this tomato meter comes up with what it does, what it's done in the past for other movies, and maybe things that Rotten Tomatoes could do to maybe alter and fix some of these scores in their algorithm.
Yeah, the inconsistencies, and if according to their website, you're supposed to go to them for this type of information, but it's so inconsistent, it doesn't make sense to use them.
Right. First off, we printed a bunch of things from their website, and we're going to read them to you because that's what you want to hear as a bedtime story.
Exactly.
Reading the tomato website.
All right, so first off, we got the tomato meter.
Or tomato meter. However you want to say it.
Yes, exactly. The tomato meter. So we just this is directly from their website. We want to give you how they explain of how it's supposed to work. So it says the tomato meter rating, based on published opinions of hundreds of film and television critics, is a trusted measurement of movie and TV programming quality for millions of moviegoers. The tomato meter rating represents the percentage of professional critic reviews that are positive for a given film or television show.
This is the problem right here. This is their trusted score, right? We went through, looked at a bunch of different movies and started getting their scores. So Suicide Squad right now sits at a 26% critic rating and a 73% fan rating. Huge gap, first off.
Right.
So obviously the fans did not agree with the critics on this one. After that, so I got movie listings from the last 8 years. Some of the movies that people despise, ruined franchises, screwed up characters to no end. These are some of the movies that are on the worst comic book movie lists.
Right, from a lot of different people.
Yep. First off, we have X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Great. Stuck in an elevator with 5 guys on a high-protein diet.
Oh, wait.
Dreams really do come true.
So just shut it. You're up next.
Thank you, sir. You look really nice today. It's the green. Brings out the seriousness in your eyes.
Oh, my God. Do you ever shut up, pal?
No, not when I'm awake.
Now, that movie was panned hard, especially for what they did to Deadpool.
Right.
Ryan Reynolds. I mean, that was the biggest joke.
Right.
People hated that movie, hated the CGI, hated the whole story. It was awful. People hated that movie. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 38%.
Right.
That is still higher than Suicide Squad or Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice.
After, everything you just rattled off, after all of that, it's still supposedly, according to their rating system, better than these two DC movies.
These are all comic book movies, too. I'm not taking from different genres and different things. These are absolutely comparable movies.
Right, which we could, like you said, with Ghostbusters this year.
Yeah, Ghostbusters, their tomato rating is reading up in the 70s. Fan rating is down in the 50s. So there's obviously something they like about it that most people don't. I understand with that movie, the reason why we weren't going to quite talk about that one was because there's some people butthurt because it's an old 80s movie that got destroyed apparently by women. I don't know. I just had no interest in seeing it anyway. So, and then we had The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Hey, Spider-Man.
I knew you'd come back.
Yeah, thanks for stepping up for me. You're the bravest kid I've ever seen. I'm gonna take care of this jerk. You go take care of your mom, okay? All right, get out of here. Go. Go.
You'll fight me? You'll fight me now?
On behalf of the fine people of New York City and real rhinos everywhere, I ask you to put your mechanized paws in the air.
Never! I crush you, I kill you, I destroy you.
You want me to come down there so you can kill me?
Yes!
I'll be right there.
There's no place like home.
Which this apparently killed the Spider-Man franchise.
Yeah, well, if you look at it, it basically did. It didn't make enough. They put so much money into it. It didn't make enough to carry into a third one. And then they ended up saying, Sony did. Sony is they ended up selling to, or not selling, but...
No, they went on their hands and knees back to Marvel.
Right.
Make Spider-Man great again.
Yes, exactly.
And that's what they had to do to get Spider-Man going again. Even with the next iterations of Spider-Man with Tom Holland, these are going to be under Marvel control.
Right.
Sony does have final say because the character is still licensed by them. It's still under them.
Right.
But pretty much Marvel's got full reins. It's going to take complete control of that series. That is what The Amazing Spider-Man 2 did. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 on Rotten Tomatoes, 52% critic rating.
Yeah. So pretty much double Suicide Squad.
Yes. It actually exactly doubles Suicide Squad. Amazing Spider-Man 2, according to Rotten Tomatoes, is better by far than Suicide Squad or Batman v Superman. After that, we have Iron Man 2, which everybody says is one of the worst Marvel of the most current Marvel movies that come out. You know, that some people don't like Thor 2 and Iron Man 2 get brought up a lot. Even though, personally, I despise Iron Man 3. And that's the first one I looked up, but it had a decent rating. So I went to Iron Man 2.
I actually liked Iron Man 2.
I didn't mind Iron Man 2. I thought it was okay. It definitely was no Iron Man 1, which is by far one of the best Marvel movies
but better
out
than
there.
Iron Man 3.
Fucking anything's better than Iron Man 3. One of these days, we will do worst comic book movie list. And guess what? Spoilers. Iron Man 3 is my number 1. I fucking hate that movie. I hate that fucking movie. But Iron Man 2, which a lot of people panned and said easily one of the worst Marvel movies out of the MCU, has a 72% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Right.
So they're saying Iron Man 2 is way beyond better than Suicide Squad or Batman v Superman.
Right.
Then, X-Men Apocalypse. We'll go into 2016.
Yep, this year.
People panned the shit out of X-Men Apocalypse. They didn't like the villain. They didn't like any of the characters. Oh, that movie got destroyed. 48% by their critic rating. And the fan rating on that one is actually 71%. Once again, showing this huge gap between the critic rating and the fan rating when it comes to some of these comic book movies.
Right. Well, and that was one thing that we noticed with Batman versus Superman early on. Even though the critic rating kept dropping, and, you know, now, what is it at that you mentioned? 27%.
Right.
As of today. But there was always this huge gap between the fan rating and the critic rating. And I just, you know, you read online, all these different people on social media, on YouTube, whatever you look up, whatever the fan rating seemed to be a little more in line with what the overall consensus was, not it just getting driven into the ground, you know, at 27% now.
Yeah.
And it seems to continue to be dropping.
Biggest nail in the coffin on their tomato meter is Green Lantern, which again is is a movie that's usually on people's worst list of comic book movies.
You reek of fear, Hal Jordan. I've been Solo was a great warrior. My mentor. My friend. You insult his memory by wearing his ring.
It's on mine. I know it's on yours. Has a 26%.
Right.
Which is the same as Suicide Squad.
Right.
They basically say this movie is the same as Green Lantern.
Right. And there's a reason that Green Lantern is not in this iteration of the Justice League.
Yeah, it's Unite the 6, not the 7.
Right.
It's not Unite the 7 until 2020 when everybody can forget about this fucking movie.
I think they're waiting for enough time to pass to where like, wait, Ryan Reynolds was in a Green Lantern movie? I don't remember that.
Fuck? He's always been Deadpool. There'll be 2 Deadpool movies out. I'm sure he'll be in an X-Men movie.
Yep.
No one will know.
Exactly. But yeah, to compare it exactly to Suicide Squad and Batman vs. Superman is just a hair better, just a smidge better than Green Lantern. It's just crazy.
Yeah, no. See, this is where, and I understand there's people that have multiple opinions. People vary on different things. People like different things. But you can't sit there and say your tomato meter gives this great accurate score of all these critic reviews, and then it turns out that the movie is almost considered to be one of the worst comic book movies out there.
Right. Forever. And actually, from the Rotten Tomatoes website, They say Suicide Squad boasts a talented cast and a little more humor than previous DCEU efforts, but they aren't enough to save the disappointing end result from a muddled plot, thinly written characters, and choppy directing. Which, when I read that, I was just... It blew my mind. It blew my mind that's what they're... Okay, here's the synopsis of basically why if you should watch this movie or not.
Choppy directing gives you a 26%.
Right. Yeah.
Muddled... Okay, that's some reasons to dislike the movie, which we'll get into our review later on this movie.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it a 26 fucking %.
Exactly. Right.
This is where the flaw in their algorithm is. These people give a score, and somehow this thing gets warped into a 26%.
Right.
No, there's something wrong there. And people say, oh, don't take it so seriously. Don't take these scores. Go watch the movie. Appreciate what it was. Rotten Tomatoes embedded themselves into the movies. They are everywhere now. Yeah. You just checked before we went on here. On Vudu, the Rotten Tomato score is at the bottom of the movie.
Yeah. And Vudu is growing in popularity. How I first heard of them is they partnered with, I don't know if it's Walmart directly or the movie studios, but they give you a code now. When you pick up your Blu-ray from Walmart, usually a pre-order, they'll give you a code and say, hey, add this to your Vudu account. So you're like, oh, boom. Add it to the Vudu account. I bought Batman vs. Superman, the digital version, off of that as well. A lot of people are starting to use that, and if you're slapping the tomato meter right on that, and we're in a digital era now, and people are going that route, that is saying that this is how you should, if you should watch this movie or not. It's kind of like Netflix does a real similar thing. When you go on there and you're kind of scrolling through and they have their star rating 1 through 5, and you look at it and you're like, oh, this got a 1 star. Oh, I'll pass. Right. And that's basically what they're trying to say is, you should just pass on this Suicide Squad.
Even for old fogies like my brother, which I just learned recently, he doesn't rent DVDs and he doesn't go watch movies in the theater. He just buys them if it looked cool.
Right.
So this dude has the biggest collection of DVDs, not Blu-rays, DVDs. And he was showing me a DVD of The Reverend. And it actually in the bottom left had the Rotten Tomatoes score. They're printing this stuff. The studios now have acknowledged Rotten Tomatoes as this system that people rely on as a critic score. They are now putting that on the DVD. Not that this was an Oscar-winning movie.
Right.
They're putting the fucking Rotten Tomatoes score. Yeah. I'm sure somewhere on that DVD they had the Oscar thing.
Right.
But that thing stood out to me because there's a big fucking red tomato on the bottom left corner of it. There was another movie there, which I cannot remember, also had the Rotten Tomatoes score on it. So people like my brother who looks at this DVD and he even has just an idea of Rotten Tomatoes. Oh, Rotten Tomatoes gave this movie an 83%.
Right.
Oh, that's B
right.
minus.
Yeah, so, exactly. So it should be pretty good.
Yeah, it should be decent.
Yeah.
So obviously, Batman vs. Superman is not going to put their 27% on the bottom left
exactly.
of their thing. So people that don't see the Rotten Tomatoes score, they'll be like, oh, I don't know. So it just may vary opinions. It does. These things do change people's opinions. Exactly.
And I don't agree with the petition at all to pull down the whole website. But I do agree that they have a way to not manipulate, but kind of,
influence.
Thank you. Yeah. Influence people's opinions to where they're like, you know what? I think I'll pass on going to the movies. Maybe I'll just wait for it to show up on Netflix or DVD. I'll rent it from Redbox or whatever. That affects the studio's money and therefore, moving forward, that affects how they make decisions on, are we going to continue this franchise or what, when their box office numbers aren't as high. And that's I don't want to say that's exactly what happened with Batman vs. Superman, but I definitely think that it was a contributing factor. That was one of the first things that starts popping up all over the place. Oh, look how it's garbage. I told you that movie was terrible. Look, and then that was the proof is, oh, look how terrible it's doing on Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, even right now, Rotten Tomatoes has a list of best to worst DC movies.
Wow.
And right next to fucking Green Lantern is Batman vs. Superman.
That's crazy.
So when people look at that list, they're like, oh, I remember Green Lantern. That was a garbage piece of shit movie.
Right.
And Batman v Superman is 1% higher than that? Mm-hmm. Oh, well, that must be fucking just as garbage.
Right.
So why? And so just on their website alone, they're formulating this opinion already with their top, whatever it was, top 25, I think, DC movies. Mm-hmm. And they even had animated movies in there. That's how they had to dig that one up.
Well, and this is a little anecdote from my personal life, but I actually have friends who are big Marvel fans, and multiple of them. They even admitted saying like, oh, well, it gets really mixed reviews, even more so bad reviews. So I think I'm just going to wait. You know, going back to the box office talk of like, I don't need to see it anytime soon. And that's kind of what, you know, is the job of the studio, is to push these people of like being longtime fans. And, you know, it took the MCU a while to get to the point where they are now. And, you know, with Avengers and Avengers 2 and Avengers 2.5 just recently, and you know, so it takes a while. And if something is kind of putting roadblocks out there, it doesn't do good for anyone, any comic book movie fan.
No, see, this is the thing with the Rotten Tomatoes score, is that as soon as these movies come out, when these critics gather up when the Rotten Tomatoes gathers up all the reviews and gives their great score, it's not necessarily the reviews. Some of the reviews go viral, but it's the score that goes viral.
Right.
It's not the critics' reviews, which people then, if they want to, can go to the Rotten Tomatoes and read those reviews.
Yeah, but there's usually like several hundred of them, so they just kind of gain the synopsis.
And then
which
it just depends whoever kind of put up there first, whatever Rotten Tomatoes choose to put up there first. Mm-hmm. Like you just scroll down, and you see a couple from NPR or Detroit Magazine or not National Enquirer. But any other whatever shitty magazine that no one reads.
Well be.
Yeah, might as well be. Elvis was spotted in Batman vs Superman. It just seems to influence people, because that's the first couple ratings you put right in the top there are some of the most negative ones, and then it shows 26%. And whether or not people like our society, they do this or not, but most people read titles. Mm-hmm. They read the title of a story.
Yeah,
they could say Trump does this, whatever, but they don't read the article.
Right.
People will skim through stuff because that's what they do. People are busy.
Yeah.
Some people are lazy. Some people are both.
Yeah. Well, and busy and lazy.
Yes.
But when you're trying to, I'll use another example is Amazon. When you're trying to gain information about a product, there's thousands and thousands of reviews on these products. And so you look at the star rating, and then you skim through and say, okay, let me try to gain a general idea. Usually what I do is I look at a 5, a 4, and then a 1. And, you know, why did the ones not like it? You know, that kind of brought it down or whatever. And then that helps me determine if I'm going to buy that product or if I'm going to look for something else. You know, it's the same exact thing when you're looking to watch a movie and you're like, do I want to watch this? Or am I going to spend my $10 or whatever it costs for a movie where you're at to go to the movie theater to watch this, or am I going to get it for $2 out of Redbox?
So we printed also off Rotten Tomatoes was pretty much their synopsis, their idea of what their website and what their tomato meter does to society. This is how important they think they are.
This is directly from their About Us.
Yes. And so here's Uncle Matt reading you a bedtime story, prepared to be bored to death. Rotten Tomatoes and the tomato meter rating is the most trusted measurement of quality in entertainment.
Wow.
Right off the bat. That's the first sentence they put in this.
Yep.
As the leading online, they already say they're the best.
Right. Twice. 2 sentences in.
You know what? I don't think we even have to go any further after this. This is just ridiculous. But anyway, they think they're tough shit.
Yeah, but basically. You get the gist. First 2 sentences, they're saying, hey, go to us for you know, the reviews.
I mean, we can keep going, but I'm not going to read this whole goddamn thing, because that was only 3 sentences in, and there's still like 6 more sentences. And this is just going to kill everybody. Get rid of that piece of shit. So they already think they take themselves very serious, and they take that score very serious. And so people start taking that score very serious. Studios have taken that score serious, as we've seen, as they put it on Vudu and at the bottom of the DVDs, and I'm sure Blu-rays.
Yeah.
It feels like to me that they need to adjust their algorithm, or maybe, and I'm not saying people should lose jobs. I'm not sure if, I couldn't find anywhere, if Rotten Tomatoes actually pays these reviewers anything. I'm pretty sure these reviewers, from what I could see on their on how they accept critics, they already have a job. with either a magazine or something.
Yeah.
And Rotten Tomatoes just takes this information from those magazines and just brings it to their one website.
Right. I'm sure they submit it somehow.
It's like a Hotwire thing. All the hotel things brought to one website.
That could be.
Brought to one website. And so that's what they do. I think Hotwire gets a percentage of the sale and everything else. But they get these scores, or they get these reviews in, and then this algorithm makes up. I was doing the finger quotations.
Using quotes.
Just in case anybody was wondering. They get the score, and it just comes from these, I don't know, I'm sure when these critics post this, they give it a score. And some of these guys were giving 0s out of 10. And of course, that drops the score badly. Right. So what's the point of that? Like, you just gave a 0 out of 10 to a movie?
Right.
It just seems like...
Yeah. Well, and not that we want to, keep going over the same stuff, but again, that seems, going back to how you were saying people just read the titles of stuff, that almost seems to be a way to do that. Instead of giving it like, read my review, I gave it a 7 out of 10 or something like that, 6 out of 10. Oh, he gave it a 0 out of 10 or
shock value.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so, like you were saying, that it just screws everything else up, and they don't see the bigger picture. They're just trying to throw it out there of like, you know what? I'm going to give this a 10%.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
And so it kind of feels like, I don't know if just a suggestion to Rotten Tomatoes, if they care, which I don't think they will, because they're getting bigger and bigger every time, and no matter what they do. But I think a suggestion would be to not necessarily purge some of these critics, but reevaluate some of your critics and try to get some people of different opinions. I don't know. I'm not quite, people obviously have to apply to them. They don't go looking for them.
Right.
But when you're getting, I'm sure they get hundreds of applications, and they even said it. I looked up how to become a critic through them. They go through these applications, and they can reject, remove, and say just basically, no, fuck you. We're not going to take you. But I think maybe they should go back through and start looking and maybe try to give a little bit more diversity to their critic program. Because it seems like to me we've hit an area where we're getting critics of almost the same exact mentality all the way through. We're starting to get these movies that seem very formulaic. They're getting the great reviews because they're following the same premise of action with comedy,
right,
and a very simplistic storyline.
Well, that was going to be the next thing I wanted to touch on, is what makes you a good reviewer for a comic book movie versus a Disney cartoon versus whatever, an action movie,
or just a straight up comedy.
Yeah, like what do you have to show any credentials of, like, because obviously there's certain comic book movies that are going to be for the fan, and then we're going to, if people are basing the rating system off of that, like, oh, well, I'm a fan of comic book movies and I'm a fan of comic books, but the jackasses who are writing the reviews are like, well, I don't know. Comic
books are for children.
Right, exactly, yeah. And they don't know anything about, Superman or whoever, so what makes you a good critic for that specific genre,
or understanding.
Yeah.
No, it's. I know you haven't seen it, but I kind of watched Star Trek Beyond. It was a very formulaic movie plot. It almost followed the Marvel story arc, the whole thing. A very simplistic story, very generic villain,
right?
Throwing in some comedy there with some decent action scenes. That was it, and it's got a great rating, and fans like it. So that's fine. But it really wasn't necessarily a Star Trek movie. It wasn't about being in space and all these different planets that no one knows about. It was about being stuck on a planet and having some funny moments with some cool action scenes. Okay. And then you find out this really shitty plot by this shitty villain. It's a very formulaic thing, movie. Even Deadpool, I looked that one up. The critic rating on that one is actually in the low 80s. The fan rating is 91.
Yeah, which that seems accurate.
And to me, Deadpool still is the best comic book movie of the year, by far. But even that one, and I understand it's very comedy-driven and people's humor is different, but that movie even is still lower than Captain America Civil War and Star Trek Beyond. Because it didn't necessarily follow that formulaic approach to movies. It had a really raunchy sense of humor.
Right.
It kind of a don't give a shit attitude.
Yeah.
And
then they broke the fourth wall, and there's a whole lot going on in that movie.
And it's still technically, according to their tomato reader, was not better than Captain America: Civil War or this new Star Trek movie. It just seems like there needs to be an adjustment somewhere. Mm-hmm. Whether or not they'll do it, they probably won't.
Yeah.
I think people, whoever does hear this or whoever listens, don't take ratings seriously.
Right.
If you want to see a movie, go fucking see the movie.
Yeah.
End of story.
Base it off of trailers and, you know, whatever else that fits with you. You know, you can read the synopsis and go, okay, yep, let me go see this movie or not see this movie. But like you said, that it should end at that.
Yeah, Rotten Tomatoes may be a good look back at seeing how well a movie did. Mm-hmm. But there's this algorithm that they're using, and the critics that are sending their reviews to them have been skewed in a way where it seems to be certain movies get the scores that they want.
Right.
And other movies that may go off that track when it comes to the superhero genre and action adventure genre in general, it just seems to kind of fall apart.
Yeah.
These people have become so negative towards those situations that these movies that we're not saying are great or groundbreaking, but movies that are at least B minuses.
Yeah, that deserve more.
Are not F fucking minus.
Right.
All right. They're not 26% ratings. Right. That your algorithm is jacked up. You should really go back.
Yeah.
Figure out who is manipulating the system. What the people that give these movies 0 out of 10s are obviously boning the shit out of the system.
Right.
Because it's not a realistic score.
Right. Well, and if you claim to be everything that your About Us section says that it is, then you do need to look at yourself and figure out, okay, we should fix this and become a source that can be relied upon, because it is getting to the point for a lot of fans, myself included, of where like, I'm not gonna fucking listen to this. One more inconsistency to point out is people were saying that Sharknado got a better score than a lot of these, but Sharknado was only reviewed by I want to say it was 30 critics or something like that, whereas this is reviewed by 300.
Right.
So obviously, that's going to throw things off a little bit. If all 30 people were like, Sharknado is fucking awesome.
In which that movie is getting an awesome because of how stupid it is.
Right.
Yeah, that's not a realistic score.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Which is another reason why how does it doesn't line up. You can't compare apples to apples or tomatoes to tomatoes.
Tomatoes.
Yes, exactly. That to actually be able to inform people of, yes, you should go see this movie, or no, you shouldn't.
I would go, if Rotten Tomatoes takes it seriously, which they won't, they need to go back and check some of these scores, check some of these reviews. Maybe redo their algorithm for certain things, because the Suicide Squad and Batman vs. Superman are not 26 and 27%. No. They are at least 28 and 29. There's improvement for both movies. They are good, but there's also a lot of improvement for Captain America: Civil War.
Yep, and
that movie is not flawless, right. And to me, it's nowhere near the 90% that it is on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah,
it is still an 8 out of 10 for me. 80%. It has its same issues. It has editing problems. It has dumb villain problems, just like every other superhero movie's been struggling with lately.
Right,
but yet they give it a 90 because they laughed and giggled their little tits off.
Yeah.
They hopefully in the future, and not by dumb petitions going to change.org, you're not going to remove a website. That's just fucking stupid.
Nice plug, though. If in case you wanted to, go to change.org.
I'm pretty sure it got removed.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, it got removed because it was stupid.
Damn, it had 13,000 signatures.
Yeah, well, you need 100,000.
Oh, okay.
And at least the Death Star question got through.
What?
Never mind.
Okay.
Look it up. People were asking if Obama could build a Death Star.
Wow.
It was pretty awesome, and they got enough signatures for it.
That's crazy.
But you're not going to get a website removed.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Well, and whoever created the petition, at least realize your end goal. Like you said, a whole website is not going to be taken down.
I think he even was quoted of saying that he knew he wasn't going to do anything. He wasn't going to try to take the website down. He was just trying to bring attention to the fact.
That's fair. That's what we're trying to do.
And there's one thing I want to put out. The people that have been denouncing the Rotten Tomatoes argument have been using the most half-assed arguments and trying to talk down to people like they're fucking 5-year-olds I have ever seen. It's one guy was going on this whole rant about how Fandango owns Rotten Tomatoes. Oh, hey, look, Warner Brothers owns a third of Fandango. So there's no way that they would do this. And Fandango, and this does make sense actually, but Fandango that owns Rotten Tomatoes would want you to buy tickets, so why would they want a shitty review? Then it just goes into this whole 5-year-old thing about, like, you know, don't be stupid, just watch the movie, don't let reviews affect you. And it just seems like you're posting reviews all the time. You are a reviewer, this guy was. Yeah. You hope that people take your reviews seriously.
Right.
But yet you're saying don't take the tomato review thing seriously.
Yeah.
And he's like, and they keep pointing out that Rotten Tomatoes doesn't give reviews. There's a critics that give reviews. And so shutting down Rotten Tomatoes doesn't do anything. Rotten Tomatoes gives the score.
Right.
That's what people are bitching about. They're bitching about the score. And it just seems like they keep saying, oh, Rotten Tomatoes doesn't give reviews. Okay, no shit. No one's been saying that. They're bitching about the score, this algorithm that formulates this score from 100 other dipshits that fucking make their review. That's the problem.
Right.
That's where the issues come from. It just, the whole talking down to people that even talk about this situation, the whole fucking country is always in extremes. It's either extreme one way or extreme the other. Let's ban a website
Seriously.
or you're 5 fucking years old for questioning a stupid website. It's just ridiculous. People these days. Ugh. Fuck you. Fuck you all.
Fuck you, Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, yeah. And probably fuck you, Audacity. I'm sure this thing fucked us up somehow.
Probably.
And now a moment to reflect on how we really feel about Rotten Tomatoes' scoring system.
Okay, children, let's start the day with a few new math problems. What is 5 times 2? Come on, children, don't be shy. Just give it your best shot. Yes, Clyde?
12?
Okay, now let's try to get an answer from someone who's not a complete retard. Anyone? Come on, don't be shy.
I think I know the answer, Mr. Garrison. Shut up, fat boy! Hey, don't call me fat, you fucking Jew!
Eric, did you just say the F word?
Jew? No, he's talking about fuck. You can't say fuck in school, you fucking fat ass.
Kyle!
Why the fuck not?
Eric!
Dude, you just said fuck again.
Stanley!
Who?
Kenny!
What's the big deal? It doesn't hurt anybody. Fuck, fuckity, fuck, fuck, fuck.
How would you like to go see the school counselor?
How would you like to suck my balls?
What did you say?
I'm sorry. Actually, what I said was... How would you like to suck my balls, Mr. Garrison? Holy shit, dude. Shit, dude.